numbers are different, right? Because it's a runoff. Half the people even had printed out. It didn't make any sense. One other thing we noticed was that the average was 35.1 for the general and 35.0 for the runoff. Exactly the same to one decimal. That doesn't make sense either because it's a runoff and there's new people that voted, people didn't return, all of that. So we didn't like that. Something's going on here. So I had a statistician say, Laura, do this. Plot on the x-axis what you got on the general and on the y-axis what you got in the runoff and see if there's a correlation. Okay, and do it for other candidates that were in the runoff too. There were other races. So we did that. I was District 4. This is District 6. You see kind of a scatter plot. This candidate, his results on the general, on the X, and his Y on the runoff at 80% of his precincts. Okay, this is another candidate, District 7 scatter plot. Another candidate, District 1 scatter plot, and this is mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't get to laugh, but yeah, clearly.
That's mine. I'll tell you guys, I was an engineer for 17 years, and I would shut $1 billion factory down. The data less correlated than that. Okay.
For the non-engineer.
For the non-engineer. For non.
Are you saying this is too tight a pattern?
Yes, ma'am.
Other than human design.
That's right. Beautifully said, Kathy. Thank you. Yes, it's a straight line with a r squared of 0.98. This is shocking. This is what it's supposed to look like, right? Random. This says there was a program that was targeting the precincts at an average of 35%, the 2 to 1. Okay? Yeah. So, man, this was amazing. I woke my husband up at 2 in the morning and I said, I found the program and I think my election was stolen. And we had a decision at that point. Do we step up and take personal responsibility, or do we step back and be a victim? We decided to step up, and we knew what we were getting into, okay? That told me there was a program at the main computer. There's no tape, and there's no image, right? How convenient. You can do whatever you want now at the main computer if you've got no backup. So we asked in our lawsuit for the audit logs in Discovery. And this time they didn't say they didn't have them. So they gave them to us. And what were we looking for? We were looking for anything. An audit log of the main computer where all the cards are coming in. It's a time date stamp of every activity that happened. We were looking for anything that was unusual. And so remember what happens. Vote here, goes on the card goes to the county. So here's the audit logs of the main computer, and what we found, we were very grateful for. We found corruption errors of the mobile ballot boxes, the memory cards that are touching the main computer. This main computer is not internet accessed. So if you're going to program it, you got to physically touch it with something, your fingers or a memory card. And what this means is the computer didn't recognize that card as being from one of the precincts because it didn't do the encryption handshake. Do you want to see the word corrupt on the main counting computer?
Yeah.
Is that the word you want to see? 9 times on election night? That's how many times these errors happened. All through election night. There were memory cards from my precincts that were loaded after the corrupt card. Okay, it wasn't just a random event either. The corrupt card and my precincts were coming in. Yes, sir.
If you're going to talk about it later, that's fine, but did they give any explanation to this?
We're going to get there. So one thing I want you to note, this card here, number 603, the first card, was put in about noon, which is when they were doing early voting. This 603, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. We had, okay, oops, I messed up here, didn't I? Okay. So that was back in our election. So how common are these corrupt cards? Okay, how common are they? So we had a poll watcher at the main computer in Travis County during the primary, this last primary. So my election was in December 2014. Well, March 2016, we had a poll watcher. We knew where the stuff is happening. You got to be not at the precinct, but at the main computer. So we had 4 poll watchers at the main computer, and this is an affidavit that one of them filed. he asked Mr. Wynn, who's head of the elections in Travis County, about the corrupt cards. And Mr. Wynn says, they never happen. Well, remember the Pressley case? All of that time y'all have been spending trying to defend what you're doing. There were corruption errors. They knew about that. So he's not telling the truth. Never happened. So the poll watcher asked another guy, Mr. Alvarez, who's actually operating the equipment. He goes, oh, they happen about twice every election. It's not just onesie-twosie. It happens every election at least twice. All you need is one to insert a program and flip those votes 2-1. So this poll watcher, he noticed a corrupt card again, okay? Some more affidavit information from him. Another corrupt card was put in, and they're supposed to quarantine these cards. If you see a corruption error, you're supposed to take it out. You're not supposed to continue putting it in. It's corrupt, okay? They keep putting it in. No attempt was made to quarantine the card. Well, guess what? The Tally computer operating manual, which is one we did get, says what to do with when you see a corrupt card in case you see it. You've got to remove it and place it in the stack of invalids. You don't just keep entering it in 9 times. So we asked if we could get to that memory card, number 603. Could we get to the cards and see if there's software on the cards? The judge told us no. We asked if we could get to see who's putting the card in 9 times on election. I'll take the deposition. We were told no. Okay? Yes. Okay? Yeah. So what's interesting, the corrupt mobile ballot box is a known hack scenario. This was defined 8 years ago in a report that was written by a Rice University professor, chemical and computer science, and also a professor from Stanford. This is a known hack scenario. We had an expert witness, PhD in computer science, who read all those reports, looked at these are the 9 corruption errors that we got. Dana even said she'd never heard of so many. So the expert witness wrote in his declaration, an adversary may introduce corrupt mobile ballot boxes into the legitimate flow of mobile ballot boxes from the precincts back to Election Central, and this could damage the credibility of the vote counting process. It was known 8 years ago. Exactly. Check, check, check. Corrupt card at Election Central in the flow of normal ones. Okay? It's known. Remember number 603, that card. We got the audit log of the computer that programs the cards. What we found was number 603 had some serious issues. It was loaded in on the computer to program it on 11/21, and it wasn't logged out until 10 days later. Where was that card for 10 days? Who had it? Was it logged into the computer 10 days straight? My computer logs off after 15 minutes. Again, the same card, number 603, the first one that was corrupt, logged in on 12/1, logged out on 12/10. Where was it for 9 days? That's early voting. Who had access to this card?
Is there a chain of custody?
There's no chain of custody on these cards.
No, there's not. Not in Galveston County.
There's not. They're all over the place. They are on people's desks. They're on shelves. They're overflow. There's no quarantining or careful control of those cards.
Right. I've been a poll watcher in the past, in the olden days, where you had punch cards, right, with the hanging sheds and all that stuff, right? What we had to do with those things, which is essentially what these cards are, is we had to put them in a box, and there had to be a seal.
Right, got it.
And as a poll watcher,
That's right, Tom.
I followed the election judge all the way to the vote counting place to make sure nobody opened up that box and stuck in different things or messed with the cards that were already there. And you're telling me they don't have the same integrity standards for these electronic cards that we did for those ballot boxes?
No, they're all over. They're all over the county. Anybody could grab one.
And it's because people don't understand the process.
And how do you
Poll watchers and the public do not understand what's happening.
How does it get out of?
Yeah. So the cards are.
I can tell you how.
Why don't you tell them that?
When the election judge returns at the end of the election night, at the loading dock, this is Galveston County, you have people, accepting the things. You have one person will go break the seal, take out that card, and then have the election judge sign that they saw somebody take it out of the machine. That card is then, there's like a table or a desk, or they'll take it and set it down over there. So everything that the judge is returning, they'll stack it all on this table, and then different people take them and do different things with them.
So there's no accountability.
Nothing.
There's no accountability. And this is like a ballot box. Okay? You should be guarding it with your life.
Well, and the other thing is about these cards, electronic cards, I mean, it's like flash drives. You don't want to get them close to a magnet.
Right.
I mean, there's static electricity. There's all sorts of things that you can correct them too. Right?
Absolutely.
The funny thing is, the sad funny thing is that I'm maybe talking about the background with the Bureau and the law enforcement. Just as a teacher, to administer the STAR test, you go through a training, you sign literally your license on the line, you sign in, you have a certain number of tests that you've given. Every test that goes out has to be accounted for. Every adult that comes in your room has to sign that they've been in your room.
Right.
When the testing's over, you collect the books, you count them, you bring them to the counselor, you sign off that you give them to the counselor signs that they've gotten them. Those are then put in a locked room, and there seems to be more integrity on STAR testing.
I'm going to use that analogy. That's a great analogy. There's more integrity in STAR testing than there is in our elections.
And
That's
here's the other
beautiful.
thing. If a kid throws up on a testing book, again, talking about just integrity, if a kid throws up on a testing booklet, talking about making backups, you don't throw the testing booklet away. You put it in a sealed bag. You then take that sealed bag with the test booklet, you then go in front of another witness, and you both sit there copying answer for answer, with somebody else verifying that you are actually copying the right answer, and both of your licenses to teach and be an educator in Texas are on the line.
Wow, it's amazing. Yeah, yes ma'am.
What is the process that corrupt 603 card do once it's put in there? What is?
The judge would not let us get to the card itself, so we could not analyze the card of what was causing it to be corrupt. Was there a program on there that was flipping votes 2 to 1?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, we wanted to know that. And so because there's no backup records, okay, you have no tape, you've got no image, and now the tabulation's corrupted. So how do you know what the real results are, except from those paper ballots which are tied 240 to 240? Yeah, this is amazing what's happening.
Those engineers that wrote those logs with that deal that says corrupt on it.
Don't you love them?
So politically incorrect.
Don't you love engineers? Because we're like that. We're not politically incorrect. We're not. We just do what we're told, right? We do.
It's right out in the open. It's a corrupt one, so we just anybody can toss it in anytime.
Yeah, I love it. No, it's a good point. Okay, so let's go back. Recall all the 3 records, guys. You got to have a ballot image. Well, we don't have that. You got to have a return. Well, we don't have that. And this is the tabulations corrupted. So that's the arguments, the legal arguments, and the claims in our lawsuit. Okay? All right. Now let's kind of step back. Let's look bigger picture outside of Travis County. What's going on around Texas? I've been presenting this case for about a year now. I've gone to probably 30 counties, and what we found was amazing. You know, I started out just trying to raise money for our lawsuit, and we found out no one's really talking to everybody else, and it's going on all over. So there's 2 kinds of voting in Texas. Countywide, where you can vote in any precinct, and you still have precinct polling locations, all right? So let's look at countywide. Looky there, there's a lot of counties printing those tapes because they want to. They want the accountability. They're ignoring and not accepting those waivers from the Secretary of State's office.
By the way, I saw that in the news that Hector had gone to countywide. Hector County.
Okay.
Odessa, Texas.
Okay.
Countywide.
I'll add that one. Okay, so not printing tapes, plenty of them. Travis, Galveston, Fort Bend, right? Lubbock, Tom Green, Parker. We had a poll to go back to the root of where the laws are not being.
Not that plausible tonight.
Yeah. So look. So here's what's interesting. Every permutation possible is happening. Where's the consistency in our elections?
None.
Right? There is none. Some are doing it. Some are doing it. Some are not. Even Dallas, these people are not even getting waivers and they're not printing them. Okay, they're just not printing them. I don't know that they understand the criticality. So our job going around the state is to give these guys, do you understand you're now losing one of your major accountable paper records?
So
Yes,
how do
ma'am.
we find out where the main computer is, using the example of Fort Bend Election Central?
How do we know?
It's at the main county office. You can ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
You sure can.
It's in the Elections Division office.
Elections Division
I know
office.
who he is.
Okay, now early voting. Okay, let's talk about early voting. Very interesting case. You've got countywide polling locations and precinct. And for early voting, 90% of the counties are not printing tapes.
So here's the 800,000-pound gorilla.
Yes, ma'am. You got
which
it.
is what is printed on the tape once it's printed, right? And so as you showed using the Dewhurst Cruz, you have the number. How many voted for Cruz? How many voted for Dewhurst? And so if you were smart enough and knew who all the precinct judges were and totaled all that up, you could kind of get a running idea as to how well that candidate is or is not doing as early voting is progressing.
That's right. And you know what? A lot of counties are adding up or entering those early vote results on the weekend before the election on Tuesday.
People would die for that information.
They would. Dallas County. Dallas County enters the results, the data, all in the weekend before. We had poll watchers at the main computer in Dallas, and they're like, "Why are you here? We entered it on the weekend."
Wouldn't you like to know at the end
Galveston
of
does
early
too.
voting?
So
who's
early voting,
ahead?
we're letting them know ahead of time, guys, how
Yeah.
to flip it on election day.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Right.
And I'll tell you one thing, early voting, this is where the big hitter is, okay? Again, every permutation possible. You have some counties that are printing the tapes because they want it during early. And they tell their judges to shut up. Okay? Don't say who's winning. All right? But you're at one precinct, right? You're not, all the judges would have to get together.
Oh, the intimidation's got to be awful.
It's huge. So there you go. Some are printing, some are not. Okay, so step back. Let's think about Harris County and Galveston County, okay? There's 3 times a voter could pick to vote. You could do ballot by mail paper, early vote electronic, or election day electronic. And let's see, when is your vote most secure, okay? Well, think about paper ballots. The computer does tabulate it, but you got a paper ballot to go back to. Like in our race, it was exactly tied, 50-50. Let's look at early. Computer tabulates. Well, there's no image and there's no tape for early voting. Election day, computer tabulates. We don't have an image anywhere in the state of Texas. None of the electronic voting machines keep a ballot image, guys. That's big news. And sometimes there's a tape. When is your vote most secure?
Paper ballot.
Yeah. What's interesting, I agree with you about, what's interesting is historically, the place where the Dems were really manipulating things was going to old folks' homes and, getting a whole bunch of paper ballots and stuff in that, right?
There's a record.
Yeah.
But you have to qualify to be a paper ballot.
65, disabled, absentee.
Right.
And
Right.
also you have to be able to get that through the mail.
Right.
We had several people in our precinct during the last election that they came into the precinct and said, "I never got my ballot.
Right.
Can I vote today?"
Right.
Because they were supposed to have gotten that ballot in the mail.
Right.
Never got it. That's right.
And then on top of that, we had at least 4 people that came in who had filled out voter registration at some early voting place. At, I don't know when, but those applications were never turned in.
Right.
Yeah. So when is it most secure? When's it least secure?
Ballot by mail.
Early voting is least secure.
Early voting is least. And when are we told to vote?
Early voting.
You got it.
In the voting by mail
You got
process,
it.
though, in Galveston County, they sent out the early ballots this time, but they were sample ballots.
Sample ballots.
They
Shocking.
got the ballots back,
All the sample ballots.
and the people who were in charge of counting the votes, they sat there and transcribed from that into the computer.
So they voted for the people, which is a felony.
That's not good.
casting
That's
a
terrible.
vote for
That's
someone
terrible.
Is it reasonable to assume?
Well, I feel better.
That is it reasonable to assume that the people in the main computer room watching, you know, the chain of custody that doesn't exist on all of these cards are county employees?
Yes, they are.
They are. Okay. So, early voting is the least secure, and that's when we are really encouraged to vote. Yes, ma'am.
In your experience, these main computer rooms and all that, do the county employees, are those rooms like access card to get into them, or
Some are, some are not. There are no cameras in those rooms. Zero.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Now I want to talk a little bit about the Houston mayor race. All right, those of you in Houston, okay? This is a prime example of what we're talking about. As I've been around the state, I have heard from so many candidates that said, you know, Laura, I won here and I won here because there's a backup record, but I lost early and I lost the election. Oh yeah, no wonder. Let's talk about the Houston mayor race. King, the Republican, won ballot by mail.
Questionable.
52%. King won election day at 52% in Harris County, but early vote was flipped.
King, a questionable Republican. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Flavor. There's no backup for early voting in Harris County. There's no tapes printed before the equipment leaves the building, and there's no ballot image. Okay? And so what I've been told is that, oh, Turner just got his people out in early voting, just got them out. And so all those precincts that were strong Democrat, they got more people out to vote. Well, I analyzed the data, and I'm going to show you. And this is a bunch of math, so hang in there. But one thing I want to say, Stan's, the way he reports it, doesn't allow us to see this. Did you know that King won ballot by mail and won election day but lost early? Did y'all know that? Yeah, so it's not reported, is it? He lost Harris County by almost 600 votes before Fort Bend was even counted. Because what we heard was, it's Fort Bend. Fort Bend pushed him over. That's not true. Sylvester Turner won Harris County. That's not reported, is it? And he won it because of early. That's not reported. So what Stan reports is this PDF version, a cumulative report, and what it shows is each precinct with the total of absentee early in election day and the total that each candidate got. It doesn't have it broken out by each one. They need to do that. And I put that in my article, my reply to Ms. Vera, that Harris County needs to break out candidate by precinct, by early, absentee, and election day, because you can see when some shenanigans are going on, and you can see some statistics by that kind of data. We had to get around. So the theory that Turner won it because of all those Democrat precincts, he got them out, is not the truth. This is a plot, and this is a very unusual way, it's kind of engineering way to plot it, that there are precincts that went 100% for Turner, and some at 90, some at 80, some at 70, 60, 50, and then some went really high Republican for King. So these are King precincts. These are Turner precincts. And this is an average of absentee and election day, because those were the same numbers, right? 52%, right? So I averaged those together, kind of smooth it out.
Early voting.
Yeah, I'm going to show you early. Okay, so what we did, we added early vote in. And these are those same precincts, early voting percentages. Now the theory was that Turner got his strong Democrat precincts out and voted more Democrat. Okay, well that's pretty good. But looky here.
Yeah.
These are Republican precincts. Let me show you, there's a lot of clicking. These are Republican precincts. How come so many? Yes, some 100, Tom. There was a huge shift in the conservative precincts.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. This is early voting. There's no backup and no image. Okay? All right? Even for the precincts that were 50%. All right? So what happened was there were about 1,000 extra votes that he got in those Republican precincts, and he needed 600. So they had to go dip into this. It doesn't make sense. So the theory that we were told of why King lost is not true. It's not true. Okay, so I just want you to know, if the data was parsed out the way we just said, you could see it, but it's not given to the voters in the public domain. Yes, ma'am.
Listen, we took a trip to Alaska. We were on a ship going up. This was during Obama, where he came out overwhelmingly, right? There was a lady there that would happen to sit, and we said, yeah, we heard it was 158% for him in that county. And she says, yes, yes. She says, I was one of them. She was on the group. She was in there. 158%.
Yeah.